What up, bro? I've been promising you videos, and I actually did record some videos on my other computer, but I still don't have a charger for it. And I'm gonna make a video here. I'm actually studying a specific type of board that comes up a lot that I'm not too great at, and that's going to be like these middling card kind of connected boards that are like wet, like they're always going to be like a flush draw. And first thing I'm going to look when I decide to see bet or not, like you can look at this hand, and you can tell like right away that this hand probably doesn't bet very often, just because it's clubs and it's ace high. But having the nine is probably good, but I don't think it's good enough to bet very often. I'm gonna check and see what it says. Yeah, so 73% check, and like probably going for the small bet, if not, yeah, small or medium size. You can bet sometimes, but that's what I'm thinking. Like my decisions are always weighed by like multiple factors, right? So like in my head, I'm weighing like, you know, there's a um like a scale that's weighed. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna put things on one side of the scale, and then I'm gonna put things on the other side of the scale. But it happens really quickly in my head. You know what I mean? So like ace high would go towards not betting, right? Because that's showdown. Yeah. The clubs would go towards not betting. So that's two things that we have towards not betting. And then the nine is good because it is in between this jack and the 10, or it's around the straight. And so that's one thing. And then like it kind of works out perfectly, right? Like we're betting 2/3 of the time. Um, Another thing that I'm looking at, I'm going in here and I'm looking at like there seems to be couple of different like overall strategy patterns that I'm seeing, right? So this one here, you're gonna see this one's like heavily weighted towards the ace, king, and queen hands, and especially the broadways, and that's because of this Jack 10. Like you have two Broadway cards on the flop, right? And it's sort of like polarized big bet strategy, like you kind of like you would see when you have ace king or something, but not quite as much. Um, just because of the fact that like 9/8 is worth something here too, which in like when there was like ace king, it wouldn't be. But the next type of like betting pattern that I see is like on this like this is in position. Okay, so when we're in position, I'll explain the other like betting pattern when I get to it. But um, here we're in position, so it's a single race pot. Basically, my betting for in position is a lot of the same as out of position, or I'm sorry, like I'm in position to the pre-flop raiser, right? And it's going to be the same as over here, except I'm going to bet a lot more. Like it's not going to take me. I don't need so much. I don't need so many factors for betting in order to bet, right? Like I bet a lot easier. Like I could just have one thing good about the hand, top pair, so I'm going to bet, and usually going to bet small But you can go big sometimes too. Um, but when you're in position, it's going to be pretty much like a range bet, right? Always. Um, Unlike here where it's like really selective and you're only betting, you're betting only certain hands and you're checking more hands pure. Um, but yeah, we could have went larger here. Uh, I think like a heuristic that's pretty good is like on these like middling wet connected type boards. You want to use large sizings more than small. All right, so here we're facing a C bet, and we have top two pairs, so I would automatically assume that this would be a good raise, but it may call sometimes too. We roll a high number. I'm going to try for just the flat call, and yeah, it just splits between raising and calling. Um, all right, so now we have the flush draw. We're in position, and we have a pair. So this would be something that I would like to put in my check back range sometimes, just to protect that checking range. But I think we could also we roll a pretty small number here, so let's go for the bet. And yeah, see, it doesn't like betting really large with this hand because these hands play really, really well as checkbacks. So it checks back 50% of the time, and then it just like the larger sizing, but it splits between all the sizes. So like, but you see it gravitates towards the larger sizings. So like on these wet connected boards, you want to go for larger sizings most of the time. This is not gonna automatically be like a check back for me. Usually, like almost always, but we do roll low, so I'll just give it a small bet. Oops. Well, I don't know why I keep going for the small bet. When I keep saying like larger bets are used. Yeah, this is almost a pure check, and that's what I was thinking. Like, when I saw it, I just wanted to check, and I should have just stuck with my gut decision. Same with this hand, right? When these boards are wet and connected like this, your top pairs are gonna be like way not so much devalued, but they're not going to be so aggressive, right? They're going to be more in the checking range because on most runouts, they're not going to be like very strong hands. All right, so here I think is another betting. Okay, so this is the betting pattern that I call the over pairs. Now, this is when because you want to like base your betting, or you'll notice betting patterns like are depending on what the range advantage is or what your value is, right? So our range advantage is based around these aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens because they're almost always going to be good on most runouts, right? But the aces check and the kings check and all these like really good hands check, and that's because they like aces and kings are pretty much invulnerable, and the other ones like queens, jacks, and tens, those are going to push their equity. Like you'll see like tens and jacks and queens almost never check, right? But that's because they're more vulnerable and they want to push their equity and get money in right now. So same with the top pairs. Like you see the nines, and the better the nines get, the more they want to bet. And that's just another function of like wanting to get the money in now. And the rest of it is bluffs. Like all these are some equity bluffs like flush draws. These are going to be flush draws and backdoor flush draws. All these ace, king, queen. These are just bluffs that are having some that are having runouts that'll be really good for them, right? And most of the range is betting, and so like it uses these. It checks with these better aces. Like you see, ace 10 through ace king is like checking, while the trashier aces bet, and they're going to bet with their they're going to bet with their flush blockers. Well, these is bet. This is just betting everything. which I guess that's a pair. And let's see. Okay, so yeah, you'll see now. You see the pattern where these are spades, right? Because you have the spade flush draw, and then these are hearts because you have the backdoor flush draw, which is hearts. And then these two combos are not betting at all, which is the ace and the club. I mean the diamonds and the clubs, right? So that's like pretty telling. And you're gonna see that pattern throughout all these aces, right? So this is a pattern you're gonna see over and over and over again, right? And so it's like seems really complicated at first, but you start to see the same patterns over and over again. So this is a nine high, pretty disconnected flush draw board, right? And so you could look at this betting pattern and just see like all of these hands. Uh, well, these are top pairs. So top pairs, but ones that are not top pair. Let's look at this king. So this king eight, we're even having like some overbet here. That's really wild. I never knew about this. Overbetting with the king eight with the eight. It looks like having the eight of spades is even better than the king. But anyway, you see the same pattern, right? So like there's heavy betting with the spade, there's heavy betting with the heart, and then there's only a little bit of betting with the other ones. I guess eight is like a good card to have for some reason. Same shit with Jack eight, right? So anyway, and if you look, so low pairs are not betting really. If you look at these, like you'll see spades, it's weighted towards the spades more than it is any other thing. And then you see top set is not trapping, but aces are trapping. So sets are betting or pushing their equity, and then tens, jacks, queens, kings, but aces are liking to check back. So like if you had aces or kings, and this you saw this board, you would actually check it back and like trap because your hand is pretty invulnerable, right? Um, it does like to bet with the spade a little more. So if you didn't have a spade, you would do it more. And then these are backdoor flush draws, right? Well, even the king, like I guess because your range is so like good here that you can even bet these non flush draws. So like a lot of people are not betting these things at all. So like you want to remember to have this shit in your range, right? Like you want to be betting these like queen four of clubs, which is I probably don't even do that enough. But anyway, yeah, this is a pattern that you'll see over and over again. Like you'll see the same kind of pattern on like an eight high board or 10 high board, seven high, and it's gonna look pretty much the same. Anyway, going, and so I have the jack of spades, and so but I rolled a 91, so I'm going to check. Yeah, and it's a low for like you check like one third of the time. Okay, so on this board, we're in position, and I think we said we would bet larger. So let's go for the large bet. See what it says. Okay, I didn't like the large bet on this one. Probably because we're ace high, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm already fucking up the pattern. Because remember that ace and the queen, like the two high cards, like to check back. All right, let's keep going. All right, so now we have these two high cards, but we have a flush draw. And we have the 10-5-2. This is like disconnected. It's going to look exactly like that 9 high board that we just looked at. Except we're in position to the pre-flop razor this time. So this is actually different. So, okay, you see like the difference between when we're the pre-flop razor and they're at a position to where like they're the cutoff and we're the button. Like it's more of like a range bet. It's just spread throughout, right? It's not really picking or choosing like hands like you would in the last grid we looked at. So this is just like it's either just betting small or checking, and it's just mixing it up. So like pick your poison there. And so we check back this time. Of course, like flush draws and things like that are going to bet a little bit more than everything else, though. All right, so we have second pair on this like wet board, and I pretty sure you're gonna see a lot of checking here. Yeah, 80% check. So anyway, pretty much it. So like you see what I'm thinking about though. My thought process is pretty much like like what is my showdown? Do I have high showdown? Like here, I have high showdown. Right? Well, of course, I have top pair, but do I want to put this top pair in my checking range ever? I'm always thinking about my checking range and my betting range. Um, I want to check back some top pair sometimes, right? And then, I want to bet some second pair sometimes. Like it's all always gonna be mixed up, right? But just certain hands want to bet more often than others, right? Like this hand probably wants to bet more often because it's just like one of the best top pairs. So let's try for the big size, and you see it does like the big size like 21% of the time. This hand is my backdoor flush draw, right? And so usually I want to bet my backdoor flush draws, especially when they're like ace or king. Let's look. Okay, yeah. But we roll a 64, so I'm gonna check back, and then uh, Jack 9-3. So this is a really wet board. Kind of, it's not so connected. It's just open. There's open ended straight draws, and then we have the Queen, which is like one of the best cards. The Queen of Club. We have two of the best cards to have. So this is gonna be like a higher frequency bet, I think. But we roll a really high number, so let's just do this right here.